What's up, everybody? TheZar here. Welcome back to another cast of the Rise of the Witch King, patch 2.2, version 6. Today we have a 1v1 on Ports of Isen II. So let's jump right in. We have our first player, MayShadowAx, who's of course MayShadowFax. As Goblins there in the top left. And he's quite a good player. And we have TheZar as Angmar, who's also a pretty good player. And I don't know as much about TheZar though as I do about MayShadow. But MayShadow is one of the, in my opinion, one of the better players of Rise of the Witch King at the moment. Up there in the topper tiers? Upper tiers. Toppers. That's not right, is it? Oh boy. Anyway, MayShadow is going for a 4 tunnel start. Interesting. This is going full eco. TheZar, of course, not going full eco. He's throwing down 3 mills, and he's going to get his Hall of the King's Men. So he'll be getting his guys out quicker than a MayShadow will, which is probably advisable. You usually don't go full 4 cave start with Goblins, so that's kind of interesting. Or 4 tunnel start, rather. Ah, but he's trying to fund a spider pit. Okay. So perhaps he's going to go for spiderlings. Perhaps he's going to go for spider riders. Spiderling start in 2.02 version 6 is quite common. How the hell did I end up observing Angmar? I think it's when I click, whoever I click on first, I end up observing or something, which is kind of weird. There you go. You got a goblin cave going down and a tunnel. A spider pit, rather. Jesus. Looked right at it and said tunnel. And we got our first battalion of Gundabad orcs out in the field for TheZar. And he's got a couple more thralls queued up there as well. So we can use troops out and doing stuff soon. Although I'm not sure what he's waiting around for. Perhaps he's planning on playing defense against MayShadow. Probably expecting a lot of little goblins to be flooding through here, I would expect, but currently not to be. Or maybe he's just waiting for 2 battalions so he can get a double war chant on them. Or war chant 2 battalions, rather. Get a little more bang for his buck, so to speak. Which is fair enough. Just as I was saying, the spiderling start is quite common. And it's actually pretty effective as well, so there you go. I actually hate the spiderling start with a passion. It's really annoying because they're really fast, they do good damage to farms, and they can hide in trees. They're just the worst. So it's quite tricky to deal with, especially when you're somebody like dwarves with really slow units. But then again, what doesn't dwarves have trouble defending against? Alright, so we got 2 battalions of spiderlings out for MayShadow. We got 2 battalions of Gundabads, 2 battalions of axe throwers out for TheZar. We've got some goblin warriors out over here in the outer reaches of the base of TheZar. Looks like he's going to try and sneak his way around. Try and pick up a farm kill. TheZar's onto him, though. He's onto him. Spiderlings. He's seen them. And of course, Gundabad's not very good against the spiderlings because spiderlings are good against swordsmen and... is it just swordsmen? And Cav, of course. They actually updated to say Cav as well. Nice. Alright, so we'll see what MayShadow's going to do here. He has cave bats. He can throw that up. But as you see here, the spiderling's doing pretty good. And they actually, of course, eat through these axe throwers pretty nicely as well because thralls aren't really particularly strong, no matter what kind of throw you throw out there. Unless you get them all with leadership from Waldar and such. But, as you see there, he managed to fend off MayShadow's attack pretty nicely without losing much. No buildings were lost in the making of this video. at least not the first 5 minutes, eh? The buildings were harmed, rather, is what I meant. Alright, we got, what, 5 battalions of Goblin Warriors there? Ish. And of course they have shields because I'm on the HD edition alpha of Rise of the Witch King, so that's why. But you can have these fancy fancy units of Beef Me Too with the HD edition of Beef Me Too is released, if you so desire. Alright. TheZar is weaseling away around the back of MayShadow's base with some Gundabads. Looks like he's onto him though. He's gonna go defeat that quickly. Some Spider Riders coming out from MayShadow. 3 more battalions of Goblin Warriors. And he'll have quite the force. Goblins are actually quite the strong faction, if you think about it. They put out a lot of troops. The Goblin Warriors aren't particularly tanky, but they do good damage, especially when you're using the Poison Blades, like MayShadow is not currently. Well, it should be. You always want to use the Poison Blades, like it really ups the damage. It's actually interesting why he's not doing that. It's not too much point in doing it against those, I don't know, but I mean, generally speaking, you should use Poison Blades if you can. There he goes. Yeah, they have really good cav. Spider Riders are excellent cav. They do great trample damage. They're very mobile. And of course they can go into bow mode. They got very spammable warriors. Alright, archers. You know, they're not the worst. And of course they have this poison arrow, which is pretty good. They got really good swordsmen. Half-troll swordsmen. Pikemen, well, half-troll runners do a lot of damage, of course, but they can't be trampled, which is good and bad. But they're just a strong faction. And mountain giants are pretty good. So, got a lot of bases covered. But you can get a lot of stuff out early game, which makes them very powerful. Which could be said about a lot of spam factions, of course. You can do the same with Angmar. You can get a lot of thralls out very quickly as well. Same with Mordor. You can get tons of orcs. Stuff like that. But I just feel like goblins are very good at what they do. Which is swarming over them, it turns out. And that's it's not their catchphrase for a reason. No reason. Alright, there's the Fell Wind. Does a little bit of damage. As you see, some of the guys are actually hurt there. But clearly not doing a ton of damage, as Goblin Warriors don't have a lot of life to begin with. So Fell Wind doesn't actually do that much damage. But it does a little bit. Just give them a little tickle, you know? MayShadow's fighting on his tainted land, which is definitely helping him out. Although he should really bring these Spider Riders onto the tainted land. Because, of course, tainted land in 2.02 gives you 50% damage, 50% armor. So 50% damage on their bows would be pretty big, you know? So if you can keep him on the tainted land, that would definitely be ideal for him. And the TheZar is now throwing up a lot of Rudar Spearmen, getting some Axors as well, to give himself some range damage. But it looks like MayShadow going for a lot of Spider Riders as his cav and his archer support, which definitely works quite nicely, actually. And then, of course, filling out the ranks with just Goblin Warriors, which are good against the Rudar Spearmen that are being thrown out here to counter these Spider Riders. And of course, that is the dilemma you face. When you build too many pikemen to protect against the cav, you set yourself up for failure against the Goblin Warrior hordes. But if you don't get enough for the Rudar Spearmen, then you will get just trampled to death. So sometimes you have to find that happy medium ground. But as you see there, Goblin Warriors will still die pretty quick. So a lot of Rudar Spearmen and Axors will take them out quite easily. Alright, we got lots more on the way. MayShadow is now sitting on 4 Goblin Caves and his Spider Pits. Undoubtedly gaining power points pretty nicely. He's got himself K-Bats, of course, taking land, 3 power points, 528, 650 at the moment, command points. And TheZar has himself Fell Wind, War Chance, 4 power points, And 447 to 725. Actually, Zar's ahead on power points. Seeing someone beating Goblins on power points is baffling. Also, Zar ahead on farms as well, as he has more command point limit there. Although that's about to change very quickly. So Zar's going for a little sneak attack here on the base of MayShadow. Could go nicely. Perhaps, perhaps not. Ah, nice. There's the Snowbind. He's opted to go for that. To save that farm, which not a terrible idea. Although he was not able to save that farm. And I think these Spider Riders and Goblin Warriors are going to take a lot of farms with them before they are done. Because there's one here, there's one here. They might even get this builder there, which would be bad for Zar. MayShadow just trampled some Rudar Spearmen. Ah, there's the Fell Wind. This is his chance to pick off a lot of Spider Riders. Fell Wind is the bane of cavalry. Need to be extra careful against Angmar. One fell wind could fell your army in one fell swoop. So many fells in that sentence. But it makes sense. You can get sucked right into a pike. And I know that sounds kinky, but it's not, believe me. It's not. Oh my god, he's added another goblin cave. 5 caves! This man loves a good goblin cave. I respect that. And I'll just allow him to put out shit tons of goblins very, very rapidly. It's nice. And I'd say as goblins, that's not a bad thing. Like, goblin warriors are the backbone of the goblin army. Goblin spam is what you want in your life, basically. So, yeah, the more caves, the better, pretty much, as long as you can afford to use them. Zar is sitting on 3 Hall of the King's Men currently. It's just not a bad number for Angmar. Not at all. I mean, he could, of course, keep going for more as well. But Thralls are more expensive than Goblin Warriors. Are these a bunch of Thralls without anything summoned? That's either a bunch of Thralls that you forgot to actually summon troops for, or they died off and they were just standing there by themselves, but it looked kind of like he didn't summon troops for him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he did. But who knows? That is the problem with Angmar, in a nutshell, although. The Thrall system. If you forget to make Thralls, it's a good reason why I'm bad with Angmar. More often than not, I will forget to make the Thrall Master make his battalion. And of course that will not be the greatest once you actually get into combat with just the Thrall Master. So something you have to really be careful of is Angmar. Is getting your guy out and then immediately giving him a battalion of Thralls. We got Azog out for MayShadow, very nice. Hideous little cretin that he is. I do look forward to the day when this Rise of the Witch King HD edition has Azog in all his glory, in whatever way they design him. Anything's better than what it is currently. And that's no joke. It doesn't have to be movie Azog, but anything is better than that. Look at him. Look at him. His running animation is terrible. Alright, looks like the TheZar cleaned up there, but MayShadow's Azog is still there. Should probably pull him out. I don't think he's going to have enough fightiness left to take out all that. Borrowing a term, of course, from Warhammer. Fightiness. Alright, let's see. We don't have any... Oh, we do have a hero. We got Waldar. Master of the Hillman. There he is. HD edition glory. And of course he has the face of Tormund, which is interesting. If you zoom in really close, Tormund from Game of Thrones. A nice fit for a wildling leader. If he's not moving, we might have a look. See if we can see it. You can kind of see it. But of course you can't zoom in as far. Just that's as far as you can zoom in 2.02. So as good as you're gonna get. But yeah, definitely a great addition to the Angmar forces. If you're going Thrallmaster spam, Waldar is basically a must. Like literally. He gives leadership to literally just Hillman. And of course you start getting the Brigandage at level 3, which doesn't take too long yet. And then of course you'll start getting resources per kills. And that for Angmar is huge, because Angmar's economy is one of the weakest in the game. So they need that money, and they need it desperately. Alright. Very nice. Angmar's doing pretty good now, I'd say. With that addition. But of course, the hordes of MayShadow are still quite plentiful and strong. And there is the Summon Wildman for MayShadow as well, which definitely going to cause problems for Zar's army, as they're all comprised of pikemen. So perhaps Waldar will be caught out by himself rather shortly. Although he can kill quite a few of them before he dies. It doesn't look like MayShadow wants to surround him and try and take him out. So he's going to be able to get him out of there. Although he could just get hordes and hordes of Goblin warriors onto Waldar. Perhaps MayShadow is not going to let him get away after all. And to be honest, he shouldn't. Although some spearmen are being brought to the aid of Waldar. Can Waldar make it to the spearmen? He can indeed. And a nice fell wind going down from the TheZar. Spider Riders fell right into his trap. And now Waldar and his Axlors and pikemen are going to start cleaving heads. Very nice. And of course, did net him level 2. Oh no, it didn't. He got level 2 earlier. Well, then, never mind. But MayShadow does have numbers on his side, that's for sure. He can send guys through the middle here. He's got tons of goblins. He's also starting to go heavy on the lumber mills, which is definitely going to boost his economy by a lot. And of course he can go for Scavenger if he so desired, but I think he still has Azog in the field, so he can start using that first. I think Waldar is dead now as well. Yep. Unfortunate loss for TheZar, definitely. There's a Gundabad Orc summon. Not quite as good as the Hillman summon, in my opinion. Especially because they don't give you resources for kills, as you would expect. That did help him clean up there. MayShadow has a lot of guys just sitting around. He's got so many troops. I can imagine if you were a true master of micro at this game, like at RTS in general, could you imagine how good you'd be at Beef Me? As goblins? I mean, you could be a Mordor or anything, but just... You could literally have guys everywhere. Just battalion there, battalion there, battalion there, go after farm here. You can set paths in this game, of course, like with the Z or Z key, depending on how you pronounce it, in your region. You can do that, tell them to go certain routes, attack here, go here. You can do all kinds of crazy shit. Most players, of course, don't do that. Myself, I just go for the old press Q and attack move tactic, which gets everybody moving. That's the only way I can really play RTS effectively. But if you're really good at just single or using control groups or what have you, you can get a lot done. Ah, we got Karsh. Karsh is a fantastic choice against goblins, of course, as he melts them away with his Chill Soul ability. And that, of course, goes up in damage as he levels up. So he melts Goblin Warriors pretty rapidly if he's just standing there. So he's one of the best choices you could probably have against the Forces of Goblins. Looks like MayShadow's picked up the ring. And I'm going to go out on a limb right now. I don't know this, but I think there's going to be a Sauron in this game. Perhaps. Because MayShadow's really in a good position economically. And he hasn't really had any problems defending his base. Although now he might. With the addition of Karsh and some Dark Rangers as well. With their, of course, each edition look. Which I'm a huge fan of. Unfortunately for them, they're going to die like heathen scum. As they are right in the middle of the melee line there. So that's not good. Although, now you see Karsh's ability in full swing there. Look how quickly Goblin Warriors melt away. All he has to do is stand there. Of course, Karsh is not particularly super tanky, though. That's the thing. Looks like we got Summon Barrow-wights in as well. Down goes Karsh. Oh, no. And of course, he's getting the Scavenger from Azog, Brigandage. Although, Karsh only worth 196 gold. Not that much. We did have a Drogoth on the field. There he is. Having a Drogoth on the field is definitely going to be pretty big as well. Drogoth, only problem is he is actually weakest to Angmar, believe it or not. If you upgrade the archers with the ice arrows. Oh, he actually lost his Drogoth there. Unfortunate. But yeah, if you upgrade the Dark Rangers with ice arrows, Drogoth is weak to ice. Which is not particularly something I'm fond of, but, you know, it is how it is. There's the ice and fire system mechanic in this game. Like, Ents are weak to fire. Certain units are weak to ice, like Drakes and Balrog and fire creatures, of course. Which makes sense to some description, but it can make for some balancing issues for certain factions. Like, Nazguls are kind of less weak to ice arrows. So it actually makes it tougher for Angmar to deal with Nazgul. Stuff like that I'm not a fan of. But, at the same time, it's not that big of a deal. Alright, there we go. A nice blight there. Oh, yeah. Very nice. That is something that's very good against goblins. Blight and Sorcerer's Well of Souls. Goblin warriors come in such numbers and mass and low health that they end up turning into hundreds of Barrow-wights, which is always fun. You gotta love a good Blight or Will of Souls against goblins. So definitely you want to utilize your Blights and your Will of Souls if you're playing against a goblin player, I think, as Angmar. Because it's just quite strong. There is the arrow, long shot rather. Not hitting its mark though, as MayShadow managed to micro out of the way. Of course, as you see, MayShadow does have Spider Riders with the fire arrow upgrades. This is definitely useful. I remember back in the day, on patch 1.0 of Beef Me 2, when I was playing the Xbox version, you would actually be debuffing your Goblin or your Goblin Spider Riders if you gave them fire arrows, because they had such ridiculous damage with their base attack that when you upgraded them, they got a nerf. It didn't make any sense. It was dumb as hell. But that's Beef Me patch 1.0 in a nutshell, isn't it? Dumb as hell. No, it was good times.
We will never know.
Indeed. I'll never know. The struggles. Yeah, having a lot of Spider Riders on the field is going to be very beneficial for MayShadow, definitely. Ah, Tormund is back. Excellent. And of course, by Tormund I mean Waldar. Oh, we got a long shot there. Long shot. Not particularly getting these Goblin Spider Riders, though. Sadly. I'd say TheZar is doing pretty well, though. For what he's up against here, he's doing pretty good. Let's see what we got power-wise. We got Scavenger from MayShadow. So now he's getting kills for any, or resources for any kills here. course, got Wildman. K-Batsy's got a 15 now. Sounds like Azog is having a bit of a struggle. Of course, we got Barrow-Wights, Blights, Orcs, 14 power points there, so he's about to get 15 as well. But he'll probably be saving for his 25 at this point, I think. We got 340 of 875 for ZAR. Now 900, 719 of 950 for MayShadow. Of course, MayShadow's economy is going to be far stronger. He's spamming the hell out of these lumber mills. That is outrageous. And that just shows in a nutshell the problems with lumber mills in general. They do need a rework, I'll admit. They need to be fixed. But it's not just as easy as increasing the command point cost of lumber mill workers or what have you. As much as it sounds like it might be. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Make them hella expensive. If one lumber mill costed you 30 command points worth of troops, people would definitely not spam the shit out of them. But at the same time, I don't know. It will be debuffed in the next version, of course. In some way or another, but I can't speak as to how. So I'll have to find it together. Alright, what level's Karsh? Level 4. At level 5, I'm pretty sure he gets this upgraded? Maybe not, but he does get Blink. And of course, at level 8, he gets Death Wish, which inflicts massive damage on an undead unit. Non-undead unit, rather. And that would be anything that is not basically a Nazgul or a Karsh. Yeah, sounds about right. So Nazguls and Witch Kings. Karshes are not targetable, I'm pretty sure. Waldar is up to level 5. He's got his Summon Hillman ability. Very good. A useful ability indeed. Pulling the troops out of thin air is always fun. I really do hate this yellow color. I've said it many times, but this yellow color is very hard to see on the minimap. So when I'm looking for ZAR's troops, it can be a bit tricky at times, because it doesn't exactly stand out like the orange does on the minimap. I'm trying to keep an eye on things, though. I'm trying. But yeah, I think MayShadow's abusing the fact that he can build lumber mills really here. I think he's trying to get Sauron by how ham he's going on the economy there. So that could be interesting. And I think when Sauron comes out, of course, that'll be GG. I don't think ZAR's going to have anything for that. I mean, currently, I think, actually, he could attack ZAR's base full on with the amount of hordes he's had and has, and probably win the game. Because you see here, ZAR has no fortress upgrades or defenses of any kind. He could literally send his entire army of Goblin Warriors and Spider Riders and just circle it and destroy it pretty quickly. Although he'd have to deal with the Snowbind, of course, but after that, he could destroy it. A good defense against that, though, is actually the House of Lamentation in combination with the Spike Moat thing, or whatever the Angmar has. That actually kills Goblin Warriors around it pretty quickly. Unfortunately for the ZAR, he does not have any of these things. So, unfortunate. There we go, get Darkness from MayShadow. There's the Summoned Wildman as well. He doesn't have Blight to save himself, unfortunately. Oh, wow. Apparently Blink actually has a... Like, he teleports in and knocks guys away. That's cool. So you can teleport him right into the middle of the Goblin Hordes. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Kind of has an eruption damage like Undermine does a little bit. That's pretty neat. And we have the Witch King out as well. Definitely a good choice to try and counter the Spider Riders. Because Witch King, of course, will wreck the shit out of them. And they know it. And now he has his, of course, Dread Wrath. Greatly reduced enemy armor and damage, which is incredibly useful. Zar's definitely got the right tools to deal with these the goblin menace. He just needs to really take advantage of them now. Because having the Witch King and having Karsh, well, would have been great had Sauron not come out. And there we go. That will probably spell doom for Angmar, sadly. He just let him build up far too much. I mean, you can tell just by the amount of lumber mills he was throwing out, he really wanted that Sauron. And that's fair enough. It's always fun to watch Sauron beat the shit out of things, so I'm okay with it. You don't get to see Sauron that often, so why not, right? But this is the problem when you are too passive. I wouldn't say he wasn't trying to be, of course, passive. He tried to take his opponent's economy, but just he was on the defensive a lot, TheZar. So he wasn't really able to take as many farms from MayShadow and stuff as MayShadow was from him. And MayShadow, of course, can put out a lot of troops. A lot more troops, in fact. So it's much more difficult. But now Sauron is going to go and just ravage everything in his path. Look at him. He's glorious, Lord Sauron. With his ring of power on his hand. Oh boy. There it is. The fires of doom. Yikes. And of course Zar's not going to have much to do with this. Witch King is no match for the might of Sauron. He's but a lieutenant in Sauron's army. I wonder how much Karsh's I don't know if Whisper of Death works on Sauron. Holy shit. Wow. He really goes flying when he hits that guy. Wow, he teleported back immediately. The Witch King's trying desperately to bring down Sauron. He's not dying. Oh wow, Whisper of Death does work on Sauron. It does a pretty good amount of damage as well. He actually might be able to kill Sauron if he's lucky. Sauron is by no means invincible in 2.02. He's very powerful, but he's not super, like, indestructible OP like he is in, like, 1.09. So you can actually kill him. But will he be able to kill him is the question. Looks like he's a defensive blight there. And arrow towers, of course, if they just sit there and whittle down Sauron, will actually whittle down Sauron. So I think MayShadow might be overextending a bit with his Sauron. Potentially. Karsh could finish him off if his Whispers of Death was off cooldown as well. And the Witch King wasn't so badly wounded. He's not going to be able to outrun the Witch King, though, is the problem for him. I think he's actually killed Sauron. And of course, Sauron's explosion is probably going to kill every one of those Goblin Warriors if he dies as well. Although Karsh doing just that as well. Karsh at level 8, his Whisper of Death, or Chill Soul rather, really kills Goblin Warriors very, very nicely. Oh, there he goes. Sauron has fallen. Nice. I thought Zar was dead once Sauron came out, but he managed to defend. Very nice. Oh dear. You better secure that ring, because Balrogs are coming. Well, that's going to be bye-bye to the rest of the infrastructure of Angmar, unfortunately. And of course, Angmar in no position to be getting any Saurons of his own, I have no doubts. No, he is not. Dark Rangers are not having it. Not really favoring a fight with the Balrog, it seems. MayShadow's not really going for buildings, oddly. I think MayShadow's toying with TheZar at this point. I mean, he was probably toying with TheZar at the point where he started spamming lumber mills everywhere. So, that's no surprise. MayShadow is kind of known for being a bit of a troll. Kind of like samurai in a way. Look at him go, he's wailing away at that wall hub. Undoubtedly doing that on purpose. Because no one targets a wall hub. But there's some HD half trolls, fully upgraded. Up against some Gundabad orcs who are not in HD. They have an HD texture pack though. So they do look nicer than the default ones, but that unit is not touched by the HD edition as of yet. Be interesting to see what they do with the Gundabad orcs and the Rudar spearmen and stuff and all that. As I've said, I'm kind of looking forward to see what the Thrallmaster, what they have as an idea for a Thrallmaster. So it's like, I'm not really a fan of the Thrallmaster's current skin, you know? It's just some like bald white guy with a stick. It's like, with a mask on, it's weird. I wouldn't mind to see a reskin of that. Oh! Look at that, Shaded Wolf. Nice. I love Shaded the Wolf. I mean, it's not as strong as Balrog by any means. But he's cool. He's got the cool factor. Not as quite as cool as Balrog, of course, but he's got the literal cool sense, though. As he is a giant frost wolf. TheZar going for an attack here. I guess he needs to, really. Summon mountain giants back here. He's brought forth the Witch King. It looks like somebody's teleported in there as well. He's trying to keep his mountain giants alive. Unfortunately, there's a lot of cave trolls here. Oh, yeah. That is, of course, the Devour ability, which gives 50% damage, 100% armor, and it gives him health boost. It's actually pretty easy to keep the Shaded Wolf alive. Shaded Wolf actually does pretty good damage to the fortress. So Shaded Wolf far better against fortresses than Balrog, just because of the fact he's attack trigger. And down goes the fortress of MayShadow. What on earth? Just like that, he's lost his fort. Of course, he can probably make a new one without too much trouble. Yeah, he's already begun. As he's probably got quite a bit of money. He doesn't now, but he still has a good economy. So good use of Shade the Wolf and summon giants there. Although we do have an army of cave trolls for MayShadow, so that could be interesting. I don't know if MayShadow's trying to win or not, or if he's trying to be trolly with his literal trolls. But could be interesting regardless. We'll see what an army of cave trolls can do here. Against an army of Rudar Spearmen, probably not the best. Because trolls are not good against pikemen. And indeed, most of them took a lot of damage, and didn't get much done there. I would laugh if TheZar won this game. Just like, he's clearly lost this game from like the 10-minute mark. But because MayShadow's dragging it on, he might lose. Oh, Karsh has died. And now an army of cave trolls is punching the Witch King. I also have a Shelob out for MayShadow. Which, of course, if he gets Poison Stinger on somebody, will give him a good old nice poison and lock him in place there. There he goes. So Shelob's not particularly good against pikes, so she has to be very careful there. Shelob's got decent verse hero damage. It's mainly the poison damage that is killing the Witch King. And there's 490 resources netted to MayShadow for killing the Witch King. No man can kill you, but Shelob is no man, turns out. It's a female spider. How convenient. I know. Looks like some of the trolls managed to make it over here. Cave trolls are quite good, though. I mean, they're not Not incredibly good. They're not attack troll levels, but they're pretty good. They're better than mountain trolls, that's for sure. Yeah, MayShadow's base is still quite sprawling and still got tons of economy in it. It's ridiculous the amount of lumber mills he has. It's sickening. And sadly, poor old Angmar with there are no lumber mills. The only evil team to not have lumber mills. RIP. I wonder why they decided that. EA. Or whoever, whatever outbranch company made the game for EA. Decided not to add lumber mills to Angmar. Of course, Angmar could have lumber mills added to them by 2.02 if they felt it was necessary, but as I'm sure you can tell, that's not necessary. I don't feel Angmar actually needs lumber mills myself. I like the fact they don't. It makes them a bit unique. And I think they'd actually be incredibly OP if they did have lumber mills. Because Angmar's late game is probably the strongest out of majority of factions. I think Angmar has some serious firepower. Like, they're fantastic archers. They got really good swordsmen. Their hill trolls and snow trolls are pretty good. They got a really good hero roster. Angmar has a really good hero roster, actually. Like, all their heroes are pretty solid. Karsh is probably the least useful, generally speaking. But against certain matchups, like Goblins, or as we're seeing here, he's incredibly useful. He'd be good against Mordor, too, if they're spamming orcs or what have you. Less useful against armies of, like, buffed hill trolls or whatever. They're not going to do much. Or half-troll marauders. Like, that's a good way to counter Karsh, is to stop spending or sending goblin warriors at him and start sending hill trolls and hill trolls. These things. Half-trolls. Half-troll swordsmen and pikemen. And half-trolls are actually very good against heroes in general. So that could be useful for them. We'll see if this cave troll strat is going to work. He's got the fort down to half. Does Zar have Snowbind? He does not. But he does have Avalanche. Huh. I think he may have contributed to his own fortress's demise there. Well, I think that'll be it. Oh, poor Waldar. He got burned. Burned alive by dragonfire. Now he knows what it's like to be a dwarf in Erebor. There you go, 1v1. Dragon versus Karsh. Fight. Or not. Karsh isn't having it. Although Karsh did a good amount of damage with his Whisper of Death to the dragon there. But it looks like sending mass amounts of cave trolls at the enemy seem to pay off there. Great. If you're ever in a position where your enemy is sending just nothing but cave trolls at you, you know you done goof somewhere in the game. This might be the last building for Zar, though. No, it is not. Where's his last buildings? There they are. I'm sure they'll be found shortly. It's not really rocket science as to where they'd be. They're there, or they're there, or they're there. The few places that MayShadow cannot see. Of course, he does see them, though. He's got a cave troll scout. Classic. Usual scout. The sneakiest and scoutiest of scouts. There we go. There's a summoned spiderlings. Many more cave trolls being brought in. And they should finish this game off. There it goes. God. Alright, well there you go. That was an entertaining game, I suppose. Although a bit one-sided, I will say, at a certain point in the game. Just kind of steamrolled in the way of MayShadow. But yeah, I found it entertaining at least. And I hope you all did as well. So, yeah, there you go. That has been a cast of the Rise of Witch King, patch 2.2, and I will see you all next time.